Experts say there are 5 stages to grief.
Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
But what if there was another stage to it? What if there was a stage where you just randomly book flights, pack your suitcases, hop onto the next ride to the airport, and go away? Wouldn't that be much nicer?
So, Jenna,
Yes.
based on the results of your previous assessment and from our consultation today, our working diagnosis is leaning towards adjustment disorder and anxiety.
I thought to myself, I need to go find something to fill the void I was feeling. But I didn't know exactly what that be might. So in a few weeks, I found myself neatly tucked at the back seat of the car headed for the airport. This was the airport stage of grief. It was December 2025. The amount of people having fun, exchanging pleasantries, feasting on their annual parties, and exchanging gifts. There weren't enough to make me happy. It was as if there was this big chunk of rock shoved against my throat. I couldn't expunge it, and I thought I was better off numb. And numb I was. I could not fully resonate with the season. At this age, I realized there were many things in life that required one to come really early for. Opportunities, contracts, but most importantly, boarding planes. The minute sky was pitch black, as the journey I have after losing my job. But pitch black it is, way up in the sky, was so much better than anywhere else, I guess.
Attention passengers, we've now reached our destination. We hope you enjoyed the flight and have a nice day.
I arrived in Vietnam very early in the morning, right around 5. My friend told me there was nowhere to sleep in at the airport, and so I decided to stay at a cafe. I had to wait right until lunch so I could meet with my friend on her lunch break. We were going to have lunch together. If the airport immigration staff actually asked me at that time, "Why are you in Vietnam?" and I told them I wanted to catch lunch with a friend, would I have sounded too casual? My stay in Vietnam may be short, but it taught me that slow times and warm broths were lifelines available for listless souls.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for waiting. We would now like to continue boarding for all economy class customers.
At around 7 p.m., I boarded my second flight of the day. This time, I was headed for Bangkok. I had genuine business in Bangkok, more than just meeting my friends. I feel like that in itself would have been another subject for another video, it being that long. I arrived at the airport dizzying at the sight of so many people going about their ways. Arrivals, departures. There were just so many of them. Even at the immigration, the line was unforgivingly long. In Bangkok, I went to see friends. We talked and laughed and cried. It was like a catharsis. I went to temples. I rode boats and spoke with the locals at the supermarket as I was looking for kopi ko macchiato and obsessively for mango sticky rice. It was my addiction. Also, I paid for someone to take my photos as I purposely posed in grand Thai traditional costume before a gigantic temple that I pretended to own. When in fact, I was not employed enough to own even a quarter of it. As I walked through the Thai train station, I was reminded that the power of sisterhood stretches beyond borders, beyond unemployment, and for that, I was grateful. After a few days, I went back to the airport to board another flight. This time, I was headed to somewhere really exciting. Personally, I was really excited for the trip. I was headed for Korea. My friend said Korea is my second hometown, and they weren't exactly wrong. I've been there so many times.
Don't grab the shovel just yet. We're forecasting sleet and cold rain for the city. If you want the real white stuff, you'll have to head into the mountains of Gangwon. So, no snow for the Seoul commute, but keep those heaters on high. Back to you.
You see, I flew to Korea for I wanted to see snow. But instead, I ended up seeing something unsightly after making a wrong booking and ended up staying in a love hotel.
My love for you is more infinite than the stars.
Yeah, you had it right. A love hotel. My unemployment benefit could not dare look at Marriott. But as early as I could the next day, I packed my trauma and booked the nearest one. Strangely, I knew I should be feeling burdened by the expenses at this point, but the general numbness was paying off, especially emboldened by the 9 a.m. check-in. My bank account could never.
The charge is Audacity, Your Honor. Yeah, right? My girl DearJena here has been unemployed for 5 minutes. And what does she do? Does she buy a bag of rice? No! She books a stay at the Marriott. Honey, the bank account is screaming, the credit card is hyperventilating, and she's out here worried about the thread count of the sheets. You don't have a boss, darling. You have a balance due. You're living like a Hilton on a crackers and water budget. Yeah, right? It's giving let them eat cake, but the cake is on a high-interest installment plan. I can't protect your soul if the repo man takes your slippers first.
I hear what you're saying. I pronounce her guilty as charged.
I did many things in Korea. I watched ice formations at the Orbi Ice Valley. This was when I started to feel cold. I usually manage the cold well for context. We went there towards the end of the tour. I signed up for a night palace tour. Somebody recommended this and I thought it would be fun. So I did. We also went to a local market. The place abounded with street food. I finally gave it a try after holding back for so long. I was scared I might have an upset stomach and ruin my trip. So I had to bear whatever were familiar. We walked around the Lantern Festival too. I had never been in one in Seoul before. The place was packed with families having fun. It felt cozy. I touched alpacas too. They were so fluffy. I had been fighting the urge to bring them home each time I had close encounters. I hope these babies were having fun. I did many things in Korea, but the most etched in memory was meeting the people living at some sections of the subway in winter. They built their own version of fortresses using cardboard boxes, bracing the cold that attacked from all angles. They needed food, but they also needed blankets. I wondered how they'd survive when the cold plunged to the negatives and the air became unforgiving. Seeing them made my own lostness fade from view. I was processing my loss with a sense of escapism, while others, they had no choice but to embrace theirs. To casual tourists like me, it was sad not to see the white and pretty snow. But to locals, it meant that they could sleep another night more comfortably, without the bitter cold. It was a sharp, humbling contrast. Quietly, I prayed that we all weather the cold until summer greeted us again. I took to the airport trying to find my pies, trying to find meaning. They led me back to reflect on myself.